Hi, this is Daniel Alpine, animation historian, and welcome to my new background, and welcome to a new episode of the newly rebranded Cartoon Trailblazers. In this series, I'll be discussing the life and achievements of certain animation legends that have gone down in history as very important people. We all know Disney and their mascot,
Mickey Mouse. While Walt Disney himself was responsible for Mickey's personality and soul, credit should be also given to the one who first drew the character, Iwerks.
and if you enjoyed this video, please remember to give this a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel for more content.
Was born on March 24th, 1901 in Kansas City to Errit Iwerks and Laura Mae Wagner. As a child, spent a lot of time with his father and learned a lot about machines and their construction.
Unfortunately, when was a teen, his father abandoned the family.
To support his mother, dropped out of school to work odd jobs. In 1919, would find work at the Pesman Rubin Art Studio as an illustrator, and there he would meet Walt Disney. They would soon start their own ad company, but it proved to be a failure, and the company was shut down in less than a month. It was then that they took jobs at the Kansas City Ad Film Company, and there is where they would discover the art of animation. They decided to start their own cartoon studio in Kansas City called Laughograms, where was the chief animator. The studio struggled to earn a profit. It was then that the studio put together an elaborate cartoon called Alice's Wonderland in 1923. But the studio went bankrupt, and went back to the Kansas City Film Ad Company.
But at the same time, Walt headed to Hollywood and would make a deal with
Margaret Winkler to distribute the Alice comedies after seeing the pilot short. Was invited to work in Hollywood with Walt on the series. When the series ended in 1927, Walt and would create Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. But Walt would soon lose the rights to the character, and it would lead to the creation of Mickey Mouse. And it was that designed and initially animated the character in his first few shorts.
But when Mickey's popularity grew by the end of the 1920s, tensions started to rise between Walt and Ub.
It was partially because of all the credit and attention Walt received for the creation of Mickey, and wasn't really recognized. That's why in 1930, left Disney to start his own studio. The Iwerks studio's first creation was Flip the Frog, and next was Willy Whopper. Animation historian John Canemaker has said that these cartoons were, well, rather mediocre, and the characters were forgettable. Then the studio created their own clone of the Walt Disney Silly Symphonies called the Comicolor series, which was considered very strange.
It did, however, invent what would Disney soon refine into.
The multiplane camera. The Iwerks studio closed in 1936, and 3 years later, after doing contract work, would return to Disney. There he would invent new techniques such as the sodium vapor process used in Mary Poppins and the Xerox process for animation. Would soon die of a heart attack in 1971, but his contributions are still remembered well, and will continue to be honored as an animation and film legend.
To learn the full story of Iwerks, please check out my article on my blog, Daniel Alpine's Animation Wonderland. Link is in the description. This is animation historian Daniel Alpine, and I'll see you next time.